You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Monday. Happy Moon Day. Welcome to a new week, the final days of November. I want to start by asking, how is everyone feeling today? We have a major transit playing out. Mars and Saturn are connecting in a trine, a harmonious angle. So, I often talk about on Mondays how Monday is Moon Day. It's more of a slow, low-key day, astrologically. We're tending to our home. We're doing more moon-style things energetically, much more feminine. But in our modern culture, Monday is like, get to work, go hard, start the week. And today might feel like a Monday, a little bit more that speed, because Mars and Saturn connecting in this way are really helping us get some work done and be in success mode, achievement mode, go mode. So we're going to talk through that. Nick says he's feeling okay today. Bree says happy Moon Day. And before we get into it, I'm not really thrilled about today's birthdays, if I'm being honest with you. I'm a little sad about the lack of fiery Sagittarius energy today. I don't know what it is about November 28th. A few notable people: Ed Harris, Jon Stewart is a Sagittarius, Trey Songz, okay, Jarvis Landry, but nobody that screams Sagittarius to me. So I'm curious, do you know anybody celebrating a birthday today? If you do, give them a shout out in the comments so we can celebrate them too. All right. Without further ado, let's just get into the forecast. Hopefully you're feeling a sense of support, accomplishment, achievement today. The sun is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius season is just lighter, more optimistic. We're coming into the end of the year, and it feels like a celebration. It's party time, right? It's the holidays. The moon is in Aquarius, and when the sun is in a fire sign and the moon is in an air sign, they're working together. They're supporting each other. So we're experiencing a lot of support and a lot of positivity in the forecast today, just energetically. Let's get into this trine, though. Mars retrograde harmonizing with Saturn. This is a really interesting transit. And hi, Corby. I feel like there's a lot of duality in the forecast today, because yes, it's Moon Day, it's Monday, but like I said, this transit gives us this sense of getting work done and achievement and accomplishment. And even the transit alone feels like there's duality to talk about, because Mars is retrograde. We're in the midst of Mars retrograde. And Mars retrograde in Gemini, just a refresher here, it feels like our energy has been scattered in a lot of different places, and we're assessing all the different ways our energy has been scattered. But a trine to Saturn gives us this ability to lean into responsibility and leadership and get things done. We are more determined, and we have this sense of duty to do things. So we might feel like our energy is scattered, but there's also on the other side of things, like, we got this, we can do it. Even crossing mundane tasks off of our to-do list feels a lot easier today with Mars and Saturn harmonizing. This feels like the ability to focus, move towards success, move towards achievement, or even success realized. You know, like I just said, we're coming into the end of the year, and maybe you're looking back on the year like, wow, look at how much I accomplished already, or look at how much I've achieved so far. Maybe you're feeling that sense of accomplishment already today. But if you're not there, it does feel like it's easier to work towards that today too. Mars is the planet of action, aggression. It has a leadership connotation to it, being willing to jump into things. And Saturn, of course, being the planet of masculinity, of the father of the zodiac, or the father of the solar system, has this sense of leadership built in too. So it's much easier to take the lead today. If you're working in a group, or at work, you might find yourself more easily stepping up to the challenge of like, I'll lead the group, or I'll lead the way, or I'll go first. We might find, it's interesting that Nikki just said this, things are slower with Mars retrograde. Yes, communication is not clear either. That makes sense. Retrogrades just kind of make things, we're questioning our motivation a lot. We're questioning our actions, right? But with Mars, Mars in a trine to like another planet might make things feel like they're speeding up. But with this transit, because Saturn likes to go slow and steady, it feels like the pace at which we are doing things, with Mars being the planet of action, is slower and steadier. It's like slow and steady wins the race today. We can take this leadership role. We can move towards success. We can look back and see this sense of achievement, but we also understand the pace at which we achieve things is probably going to be slower. It's like this understanding that success takes time, achievement takes time. So we can look back over the course of a year, 5 years, even 10 years, and feel that sense of accomplishment. But we also can move forward knowing it's not all going to happen today. And that can help us find this innate authority with this transit, with Mars and Saturn harmonizing. Like we know our capability by looking at how much we've achieved over the course of our lifetime. We know how much more we're capable of achieving moving forward, and we know that things don't happen overnight. So slow and steady, this sense of leadership, this sense of authority and accomplishment, all things we're feeling today. And not just on Monday, but we're really feeling this energy to start the week. And as we move through the week, some of the other transits will be experiencing connect with Saturn and Mars as well. So Mercury and Venus are still in this conjunction. In fact, let me pull up the chart for you, and you'll see some of the things we'll be talking about the rest of the week. The reason I bring this up now is because this Mars-Saturn connection isn't just going to go away. We're still going to be feeling this, and then we're going to be adding in some other planets that are interacting with both Mars and Saturn. So you can see Venus and Mercury still transiting together through Sagittarius. They're still in a conjunction technically. So Mercury and Venus, it's easier to express love. It's easier to understand love. And with them being in Sagittarius too, really amplifying that optimistic, abundant energy. Love that. Love this conjunction for us. But you'll see over the next couple of days, both Mercury and Venus will oppose Mars. So we'll be talking about that later in the week. And we'll form sextiles to Saturn in the coming days too. So we're hanging out with Mars and Saturn in this trine for the week. This kind of sets the tone for the week. And I'm hoping for myself, selfishly, but for all of us, that throughout the course of this week, we can all come to terms with the things that we've accomplished this year, with this sense of, just like Nick said, Rome wasn't built in a day, but what have we built slowly but surely throughout the year? It might not be physical. It might not be a number in your bank account. It might be that you've cultivated a stronger sense of self. You've cultivated a stronger sense of what you want out of life. You have gotten more in tune with your own motivation. So when we're thinking of success, Saturn energy really likes us to to think about success, but also at the same time, what does success look like to you? What does accomplishment look like to you? What does achievement look like to you? We all have our own definitions of these words, which is really beautiful. It's easy to subscribe to success, or abundance as these societal constructs of money or of titles or of achievement. But Mars and Saturn harmonizing, I think, invites us, rather than looking externally at what success has looked like, what we've cultivated this year, instead going within and being like, what feels successful that's happened this year? And I think, during Sagittarius season, we're more aware of our abundance. So how can you cultivate more of that success through the end of the year? How can you give yourself credit for all that you've accomplished, all that you've built within, just as much as without, and your surroundings, right? So yeah, there's a lot of ease when it comes to responsibility, leadership, getting things done. Just comes naturally with Mars and Saturn in this trine. Let's talk about what's going on with the moon. We have the waxing crescent moon in Aquarius, and the moon is busy today. Definitely the most action-packed day as far as the moon's transits go all week. So the waxing crescent moon in Aquarius, just a little way we can tap into the energy of this. The waxing crescent moon is a time where we're planning, we're preparing, we're getting ready to take action. And we have the first quarter moon in Pisces. Let me tell you exactly when. It's going to be on Wednesday, the first quarter moon. So we're getting ready to be at that peak phase of the moon cycle where we are taking action, where we are moving forward. And with the waxing crescent moon in Aquarius, pay attention to the new information you're gathering, the new perspectives you're seeing from Aquarius energy. Wants us to do things differently. So maybe you're taking in information or preparing in a way that's different than how you normally do. And that could bring in new perspectives and give you kind of a leg up, or like more perspective to take action from, if that makes sense. Also, when the moon is in Aquarius in general, we enjoy being around our community. We enjoy being around other people, especially groups of people who let us express ourselves authentically, let us be our weird, true selves. That feels really good when the moon is in Aquarius, when we're around people who just let us be weirdos. So we started the day with a T-square between the moon, the north, and the south nodes. This happens twice a month, so it's nothing groundbreaking. But you can see when the moon was at, I just realized this is from last night, but everything so far has still been on point. You can see the moon squaring both the north node and the south node. When this happens twice a month, it feels like this emotional turning point. And especially with the moon in Aquarius, I see this as opening to new perspectives and showing us, okay, what do we need to release from the past in order to embrace the future? But there is tension between our past selves and our future self today. So you might be feeling that a little bit, like kind of stuck in the middle of where you're going and where you've been. And then around 10 a.m., the moon formed a sextile to Chiron. So you can see here the moon, Chiron here. The moon is making a couple squares today and a couple sextiles today. So there is some tension. There does feel like this almost like disruptive, antsy energy, but also there's a lot of support. Yes, the moon gets supportive connection to Chiron, or makes a supportive connection to Chiron, and this is helping us understand our healing journey, our healing process. And then right around now, honestly, this afternoon, the moon forms that same supportive angle to Venus. So leaning into love feels a little easier. And if we're looking for love, if we're looking for abundance, if we're looking for beauty, it's easy to find it. We do have to look for it under a sextile. We have to put in a little bit of work. But when the moon forms a sextile to Venus, especially Venus in Sagittarius, the sign of abundance, we can find abundance. We can find love. We can find beauty if we open our perspective to see it. So the moon in Aquarius, especially the waxing crescent moon, is just overall inviting us like, open your perspective, look at things differently, look through a new lens, and you might even be surprised by what you find. And maybe something that was there all along. This love was there all along. This beauty was there all along. This abundance was there all along. It just took looking from a different angle to see it. And with the sextile to Chiron playing out at the same time, opening our perspective, expanding our perspective, seeing things from a different angle could allow for healing as well. We could see our wounding in a new light today under the moon in Aquarius. An Aquarius moon is interesting. I personally love an Aquarius moon. I mean, literally, I love an Aquarius moon. My partner has an Aquarius moon, but it's all about seeing things differently, processing our emotions differently, trying new approaches, maybe even trying a different way of processing your emotions today that you've never tried before. Katie says, I did a lot of stepping into my own this year. I'm proud of that. As you should be. As you should be, Katie. And, you know, you have a lot of Aquarius energy in your chart, so you should be feeling pretty at home under the Aquarius moon, and the moon just moved through Capricorn too. So starting this new transit around the chart for you personally should feel really good today. And because Saturn is your ruling planet, this trine to Mars should feel nice for you too. Like really feeling that sense of accomplishment like we just talked about. Yes, and leaning into innovation, a beautiful thing to do under the Aquarius moon. So we talked about these supportive angles to Venus and Chiron. Opening our perspective allows us to see our healing, our love, our abundance in a new light. Now, we also have a square to Uranus. The moon squares Uranus at 5 p.m. This is abrupt changes, disruptions, mood swings, outbursts. It could be a surprise. But when the moon squares Uranus, it's like expect the unexpected, especially under an Aquarius moon. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, so this feels like that unexpected, weird Aquarius energy where we're looking for innovation. We're kind of looking for a thrill when the moon squares Uranus. And if we don't find that excitement in our surroundings or in the company we're among, we might create the disruption. So just be aware around 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, as the evening sets in. Are you poking the bear? Are you trying to get a rise out of someone else? The moon squaring Uranus makes us crave a disruption, crave a surprise. Or it could just happen naturally and kind of blindside you. Like, oh, didn't see that coming. Didn't see that person's outburst, or even something physical like, you know, somebody shows up at your doorstep. Or I would say watch out if you're like driving around this time. If you live on the West Coast, this is commute time. Like just be mindful that a car could come out of nowhere, you know. I'm not manifesting that for anybody. I'm knocking on wood. I'm holding some crystals. So we're all going to get home safe. It's going to be great. But yeah, it's expect the unexpected. Expect the unexpected tonight. Hi, Chevy. Katie's 3-year-old wants a hello, and I am happy to give a personal hello to the kids watching, raising the next generation of astrologers over here. So the moon squares Uranus around 5. Then around 8, we have another supportive angle, the moon forming a sextile to Mercury. So today's energy feels kind of like this up and down, like reflective, maybe then some commotion, then some reflection, then some commotion. You know, the moon forming a sextile to Mercury is helping us process our emotions through our words. So maybe you're journaling these new perspectives that you're finding today, or talking with someone else, and that opens a new perspective, or you're sharing that new perspective with someone else. Remember that using our words can be very helpful in processing our emotions. You are so welcome, Katie and Chevy. So I personally love it when the moon forms a sextile to Mercury. It's just an easy, especially for those of us who are very dominated by our mind, like myself. It's like, okay, we can use our mind to process our emotions. It feels like an easy instruction manual, like just journal. Just talk it out. When in doubt, talk it out. That's how to process our emotions late tonight. And then the final transit we'll talk about is the moon connecting with this Mars-Saturn trine. So I'm actually going to pull this up on the chart. And this is at 10 p.m. Pacific time, which of course, is 11 or is middle of the night Eastern time, actually the next day Eastern time. And let me see. Okay, here it is. So the moon will be coming into a conjunction with Saturn late tonight and then forming a trine to Mars. Let's talk about these transits separately and then together. So the moon conjunct Saturn, you know, Saturn is a big fat downer, right? So when the moon forms a conjunction to Saturn, it's easier to isolate. When the moon is in Aquarius in general, we like our space. We like to process things and get that perspective by taking space, by zooming out. So isolation late tonight, you might just find yourself like, I want to process things on my own. I just need some space. But then the moon forming a trine to Mars usually gives us a burst of energy or motivation. So you can see, again, duality in the forecast. The moon forming a trine to Mars is helping us step into leadership and find energy, although this is happening really late at night. So it feels like you might want your space, but also have a lot of energy. Maybe like a late night workout would be favored. There is an amplified sense of duty and responsibility and a lot of energy to work with late at night tonight. So this could be like, I could see some of us being like, I'm going to go into work mode really late tonight. Like, I'm going to take this space, this quiet time. The kids are in bed. I mean, I definitely am guilty of this. My partner goes to sleep and I'm like, okay, now I have the space for myself. I'm going to get all this stuff done because I'm not distracted, you know? So that could come up, or the moon forming a trine to Mars overnight, for those of you who are asleep, could create some restless dreams. The moon forming a conjunction to Saturn too could bring up some doubts or some fears. So just pay attention if those things are coming up. It won't last forever. The moon's transits are very quick, but the moon conjunct Saturn can easily bring up fears, doubts, make us want some space, make us want some isolation. But the trine to Mars is like giving us motivation and energy and drive and stamina and making us feel like we can do it, you know? So it's a weird mashup. Overall, if you need to step into leadership today, all of the transits are supporting you. If you want to step into a leadership role today, the transits are supporting you. And even if this isn't like work related, you know, how can you be the authority of your own life? How can you be a leader for yourself? A lot of times, I know I'm guilty of getting stuck in like things happening to me rather than taking ownership and taking responsibility for my experience. So that could be the message coming through for you throughout the day today, or even throughout the week. Yeah, burning the midnight oil definitely could be the case for a lot of us tonight, especially if you're like me and you are a night owl. I have a feeling tonight's going to be one of those nights where I'm like just working away and not realizing how late it is. I love that. I love the nighttime. It's like my creative time. But if you have little ones too, late tonight could be a restless night for them. You might have a harder time getting them to go to sleep. Or even like, as I'm saying this, the moon conjunct Saturn and trine Mars for a child could feel like, I'm afraid of the dark, but I also have all this energy and I just like want to get the energy out and I can't fall asleep because I'm restless. And then all these fears are coming up, maybe not even for kids. Like, do you ever lay in bed at night and all the things are racing through your head and making you restless? And then you're like, I need to go to sleep, but then your mind is awake. Could be one of those nights. Just saying, especially because the moon is connecting with Mars and Saturn so late. So lots of possibilities. But remember, you are your own authority. Nothing else is controlling you. And, you know, if you find a late night surge of energy, you might just want to use it to your benefit tonight. Expect the forecast later tomorrow. That's my every evening battle to enjoy my peace when the kids are asleep or get that sleep myself. Yeah. And it's weird because I've been waking up naturally at like 5 a.m. and I'm always like, I should just stay awake right now. But then I'm like, oh, I guess I could just, you know, sleep for another hour. And then I ended up sleeping for 3 more hours. And that's my personal daily battle and where I am working on finding my inner authority, right? But yeah, expect the forecast later tomorrow. That's a possibility. Although probably not, because I do have plans in the afternoon. So I'm going to have to get on here and actually get it together earlier in the day. That's something else too with this Mars Saturn trine that I've really been feeling into today, specifically into that sense of empowerment and authority, and realizing how often I beat myself up over self-imposed deadlines or timelines or expectations. And today is a day where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to show up when it feels good to show up. I'm going to be the leader of my own life, my own authority. And instead of being like, oh my God, I should be doing this. There's that word again, should, that we've talked about before. Just being like, you know what? I'm standing in my power today. It's a little easier to stand in our power today with Mars trine Saturn. So just remembering you're exactly where you're supposed to be, and you have all the power you need within you to make whatever you want happen. Anything is possible, and you are capable. If you can perceive it, you can achieve it. That is the energy of the day today. Yes, doubts and fears could come up. Yes, we might be forced to change our perspective on things a little bit to understand how we're going to achieve things. But that's okay. Saturn's in Aquarius. That's kind of the point, changing our perspective on achievement, on success. We've all been experiencing that with Saturn in Aquarius. And those of us who have Saturn in Aquarius, that's been a big part of the lessons we're learning in our Saturn return, is changing our perspective and doing things differently and learning lessons through new lenses, right? All right. We went a lot of different places with today's forecast, but let's come back to today's affirmation, which is, I am the leader of my life. You're the leader of your life. You are the captain of your ship. You can steer it any way you want to. And just remember, it's easy to tap into that empowerment today, even in moments of fear or doubt, or is this possible? Just remember that you have the power within you. You are the leader of your own life. Think about how many people you define as successful. And if they had continually told themselves stories like, I'm not good enough, or somebody else is going to do this better, or, I'm not getting it done on time, or I'm not showing up how I want to, like, how we speak to ourselves is probably the biggest determining factor of our success. I really believe, you got to believe in yourself. And it's Sagittarius season. If there is a time to tap into that belief, now is the time. So remember, you are the leader of your life. You are the captain of your ship. You can take it anywhere you want to. And we'll finish up with a card pull. I'm going to pull from the Work Your Light deck today. I like that the messages from this deck are usually just straightforward, easy to understand, feels very Mars and Saturn. So you know the drill. This is your time to share any insights, share any perspectives with the group, ask any questions about the forecast, or simply state your intention for the day if you would like it to be witnessed by the rest of the community. And I've really been feeling into the slowdown as well. It's Sagittarius season, and it does feel like things are speeding up currently, all the sales and the holidays. But remember, it's also fall. Things are falling away physically, metaphorically, and we're heading towards winter. We're heading towards that hibernation. So it's okay if it feels like the pace is slowing down. Mars is also retrograde. Mars trine Saturn can feel like it's also just on a very basic level, pumping the brakes a little bit and helping us with that slowdown. Saturn likes things slow. So it could be that things are slowing down for you to find that sense of authority and success. And I think oftentimes when we are so stuck in go, 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 do, 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 it's easy to overlook how much we've accomplished along the way. Okay. If you are joining me live, or if you're finding this video later, let's go ahead and take one big deep breath all together, the biggest, deepest breath you've taken all day. Here we go. Breathing in from the bottom to the top. Holding it. Sending our intention into this card, and then releasing. What do we need to know? Oh my gosh. I don't know if I've ever pulled this card either. Priestess, how are you being called to step up and lead? It doesn't get more powerful than that. How much have I said the word leadership and authority in this forecast? How are you being called to step up and lead? I love when that happens. Let's find out what other wisdom the guidebook has for us. Priestess. The priestess is a teacher dedicated to service, freedom, and leadership. You don't need to have it all together to lead. In fact, it helps if you don't. No one wants a perfect angel who hasn't made any mistakes. Let your life be your message. Don't underestimate the power of sharing your story. It's by hearing someone else's journey that we feel less alone. We realize that we're actually all in this thing called life together. The difference between a follower and a leader is that a leader has the courage to go first. In stepping out, they shine a light on the path for others to venture forward too. Don't fret too much about trying to work out who is your tribe. Don't get stuck in age, income, hobbies, or occupation. The best way to discover your tribe is to look in the mirror. If you feel called to lead, chances are it is because at some point in your life, you longed for someone to lead you. Your tribe are longing for exactly the same thing as you were and are, and might only be one step behind you. Hell, they may even be right alongside you. You don't need anyone's permission, just the courage to stand up. Embrace your struggles, the peaks, the troughs. You don't need to know the way. Just believe that there might be a different one. Your tribe is waiting for you. Step forward so they can find you. How are you being called to step up and lead? How can you be the leader you wish you had? This card. I mean, is there even anything else to say? That was a beautiful reminder for me and for anybody who received that message. There's no coincidence that that's what came through on a day when we've been talking so much about authority and leadership, and imperfect leadership is probably the most powerful form of leadership I've experienced as a follower. You know, seeing people who are just honest about their own journeys is one of the most profound forms of leadership I've witnessed. And I even love how this card said, hold on, I have to read it. You don't need to know the way, just believe that there might be a different one. The moon in Aquarius, being open to new perspectives, open to new ways of doing things, is very powerful. So remember, you're a leader for someone, even if you don't think you are, as a parent, as an aunt, an uncle, a sibling, even a child. You can be a leader as to parents, you know. How you're living your life is leadership to someone else who's witnessing it. So today is a day to honor that, to observe and witness that responsibility you have in your life. How can you be a leader for yourself, and how can you find that authority that's going to help lead other people without maybe you even realizing it? All right, everybody, that is going to do it for this episode of Transits Today. Just a friendly reminder, as I am working on coming into my own sense of leadership, we do have, today's the last day for the sale on transit tracking, the month-long container that I'll be leading in January. It's going to be a moon cycle together where we're journaling every day. I'm sending you prompts. I'm sending you course material, and then we'll meet once a week on Zoom and talk about how the transits are moving through our charts individually. So you'll learn how to read your own chart and how to read the planets moving through your chart as well. Nick, I love that you said that. Wishing you all a good day and positive vibes at 5 p.m. He remembered the moon is squaring Uranus at 5 p.m. So yes, sending light ahead for ourselves, that we will be open to new perspectives if disruptions or surprises arise. I'm glad you mentioned that, my friend. All right, I will see you all tomorrow. I will be on tomorrow morning, so you won't have to wait too long for me. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your Monday. If I don't see you later in the week, I hope you have a beautiful week ahead of you. And until I see you next, remember, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.